Second Nature for Children in the house. Man, I'm excited to have my guys with me tonight. Of course, Ruddy, Burnett. Here we go again with nothing but great information. We had a great chop up session last night about the conflict in the stories of the resurrection. So make sure that you go back and take a listen to that. That was great. I really enjoyed it. The guys said they enjoyed it, getting a great response from it. So make sure you go back and make sure you take a look at all the videos that's out there. And if you need to shoot me a comment, shoot me a comment or shoot me an email, snfchildren at gmail.com. I look to hear from you. You are always welcome to come on the panel and listen. Second Nature for Children is always educating in the three areas of the body, the mind, and the soul. And those are the areas that we stay in. Education and understanding of the body, the mind, and the soul. And if you'd like to join us anytime, just make sure you shoot me an email. Once again, that's snfchildren at gmail.com. Make sure as you coming in, make sure you hit that subscription and that thumbs up, and make sure you share this information with someone, because tonight is going to be some powerful information that the Black community has been lacking, and it's been hurting us for a very long time. But Second Nature for Children is getting ready to address the issues that we're having in the Black community. So tonight, just for a moment, we want to share with you why we struggle with the truth. And mental illness is real. And a lot of us are going through a lot of different things and not understanding what's going on in our lives, and not understanding that a lot of us are dealing with mental illness. And we struggle with the truth of that right there. So I just want to share with you a couple of things, and then definitely I'm gonna let my guys come on and give their perspective. But I just want to do 11 disorders that we are dealing with in the Black community. I'm just dealing with us in the Black community. Number one, we're dealing with a mood disorder. And I want you to see, do one of these fit you? Don't act like they don't. One of them fit you. Post-traumatic stress disorder, obsessive compulsive disorder, psychotic disorder, anxiety disorder, eating disorder, personality disorder, a tic or Tourette's disorder, bipolar disorder, dissociative disorder. And I want you to think about those things that I just read off, because these are some of the disorders that we are struggling with in the Black community. I want to bring the guys on and let them give their perspective before I go in and further jumping in. Brother D, you want to go, or Brother Burnett, you want to give it a shot at why we struggle with the truth? And the floor is open to you guys.
Okay. Well, one of the biggest issues, we are a product of our environment. And so it starts, with one of the big three. It starts with the mindset. It's one of the definitions. It says socially unacceptable behavior and finding reasoning of socially unacceptable behavior is one of the definitions of insanity. Now, with that being said, we have a lot of crazy things that are normal now that was not normal 30, 40, 50 years ago. It was totally unacceptable. We're living in a society right now where there's so much that is acceptable. So the standards have went down. You have a lot of young Black girls, self-esteem is very low, little Black boys and everything. And so you are also a product of your environment. So there's so many things that's going on, and people have not been diagnosed. So if you don't see it as a problem, you don't tend to think that it's a problem. If you're an alcoholic or a junkie, and you think you're okay, you're steady lying to yourself saying you're okay, but you're not okay. You're a junkie or you're an alcoholic. So we have to have the assistance and the education. And we all know as Black men, most of the poverty infested areas are the last to get services needed. You know, if when crack or alcohol, any type of drugs, you know, when we're doing it, it's usually, oh, he's just old drunk, old junkie. If you go out to Buckhead, then it's an epidemic. Now we have a problem. Now it's on the news when it affects not us, if you get my drift. So that's when there's a problem. So we have less resources.
Okay, so do you think that the struggle is that we are having mental illness in our community and within us, and we're not going to get it diagnosed because we don't want to think that it's true that we're dealing with these issues?
Yeah, that's one of the biggest issues, because see, you have to keep in mind that we're a product of our environment. So a lot of times, if you're growing up thinking that you're normal or your condition is normal, and you've never had the help that you needed or the education and everything, and a lot of it goes generations deep, 2, 3 generations. I know people that are from Atlanta that's never flown. They've never even been outside of 285. A lot of them don't even have driver's license. And so you can only grow by changing some things. As long as you think all of that is normal, you're never going to elevate your game, because you're stuck in the box.
I understand,
you have
brother.
to have a renewal of the mind.
I understand, brother. I understand exactly where you are. Great point, Brother Barnett. Why you think we struggle with the truth and mental illness is real? I added that myself because I understand that in the Black community, whether we want to admit certain things or not, that mental illness plagues us at a very high percentage. And we're going to be talking about this for the rest of this week, mental illness. I just really said that I wanted to dedicate this week to mental illness because, like I said once again, and I say it again, it's something that has been plaguing the Black community for so long. What you think, Brother Barnett?
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with assimilation, man. You gotta understand, everything Black folks have gotten out of this country, they had to fight for, right?
Okay.
Everything. And even after fighting for that, they still have to try to fit in. They have to be a certain way in order to be deemed good or acceptable. So all this time they've been, they call it integration, but no, it's assimilation. They're trying to be or trying to appease, you know, well, you might as well say they're trying to please the slave master.
Okay.
Or you can say the descendants of the slave master, because ain't nothing changed.
Hold on one
That's
second.
why some people can
repeat
be
that. Hold on, brother Burnett.
Home, and they're going to job.
Hold on, Burnett. Repeat that last part right there where it kind of broke up a little bit.
I said that's why some people, they have to code switch. When they're at home, they got to be one way. Okay. But when in a job or in a function or something, they have to be another way. So if you keep living like that, you know what I mean, on a daily basis, it has to affect you some way, shape, or form. You know what I mean? It becomes your daily routine, but that's not normal. You know, that's not normal at all. So in regards to the mental health, man, I know you said something about friends and family.
Okay.
But, you know, to help you out or whatever, but a lot of times it's friends and family It's the issue of the mental health.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay. Okay.
But that's my take. Yeah, that's my take on that.
Yeah.
Good point.
And we'll definitely address that because doing the research, doing some of the things that I pulled up, and I was like, well, I can agree with that to disagree, but we'll look at it like this right here, and we'll look at exactly what you just said down. When it begins to talk about the prevention of mental health problems, and then they say, well, stay connected with friends and family. That's the one you're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, now I can look at that in different ways, and I definitely see exactly what you're talking about because it's a lot of our so-called friends and our family that has issues themselves. So
exactly. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that has issues themselves. So maybe they're talking about in this where it doesn't want you to isolate yourself so much to the point where you're not communicating with people. What you think about that?
Isolate. I mean, I got that, but I was talking about in terms of you got relatives and you got family.
Absolutely.
I'm just put it like that.
Okay.
Because all family ain't family. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So.
Okay. And it even speaks
Good
about
point.
isolating yourself. And I look at it different ways with that as well, because sometimes you need to go into isolation in order for elevation. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So maybe their isolation they're speaking about when you begin to speak about mental illness is that isolation where you're just closing yourself off and people may see that something is wrong.
Wrong with you. I got you.
Because I can tell the difference between someone that's isolating themselves and grinding on something that's good, or someone that's isolating themselves and going into a depression type of mode. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I got you.
And see, I think that when they're talking about preventing the same thing, when they're talking about the family and the friends, I think they're saying, well, instead of you going into a depression, isolation area by yourself, try to stay around people. And they use, I mean, ain't nothing that they can use but friends and family. But of course, we know that sometimes those are two of the worst group of folks to deal with. Your so-called friends and definitely that family of yours. So I think we struggle with the truth because one thing about the truth as well, it comes with change. And we've been talking about changing. And if you begin to face the truth about some things, it'll make you have to change. And those are some areas that we struggle in. Now let's look at it like this. We do the mind, the body, the soul. So definitely let's go to the physical aspects of mental illness. Whether you know it or not, there is something wrong. Here comes struggling with the truth. Here it comes. Because folks will tell you ain't nothing wrong with me. But there is something wrong if you are disconnected mentally and not taking care of yourself physically, knowing that your physical being is all you have. You don't have nothing else. You can lose money, you can get it back. You can be a so-called sinner, you can straighten your life up. But I promise you, family, you can't die and come back. So that lets me know that your physical being is the most important thing you have. Because if you lose it all. So I want you to think about it for a second and kind of go down this road with me. When we talk about mental illness, it has to be some type of mental illness or some type of unconsciousness for you not to take care of yourself physically. What you think about that?
I put it like this. I put it like this. Oh, D was going ahead. Go ahead. He was going
No,
ahead.
you got it, bro.
No,
you got it. Bro,
Oh,
D
okay.
sitting there.
I
I can see his hat smoking, so he thinking.
Okay. I'm saying, I put it to you like this. The majority of people are followers, right? We know that. The majority of people in society are followers. Okay. They're pushing down our throats drugs instead of fresh food, right? They give us Medicaid. They push down our throats commercials, whatever, pharmaceuticals as opposed to food, fresh food, right?
Okay.
Okay. Most of society, just damn near everybody, is on some sort of medication.
Okay.
Right? For some ailment or another. Whether they need it or not, they're on medication, right?
Mm-hmm.
Most people are followers. They're not pushing physical fitness. They do it sporadically.
Okay.
Maybe a health walk, a cancer walk, or a run, or a ride or something like that. If they were pushing physical fitness like they're pushing drugs, I guarantee the majority of people would be physically fit. It wouldn't be a thing. Keep in mind they're followers.
Okay.
Now you said there's a disconnect.
Mm-hmm.
Why is not a disconnect for you, for me? Why is not a disconnect? We're still in this society. We know better and we're doing better. I would think more people know better and more of them would be doing better. But it's accepted to you to be obese and all. It's accepted. It really is.
A lot of people, yeah. It's okay.
It's accepted. They call it what, big and beautiful now?
Thick.
They don't say thin and beautiful or skinny and beautiful. What would they call it? Big. What would they call it?
Big and beautiful, something like that.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Okay. So I'm saying.
High blood pressure, diabetes.
Yeah. So
they don't say this. I mean, yeah. I think it has to do with society, but I mean, it's subjective, man. It has to be you, the individual, trying to be different from the mainstream. Man,
Okay.
You're unhealthy. You certain changes. All they're gonna do is elevate your life. It's gonna be hard, but you benefiting. Nobody but you. So why not? You know what I mean?
Okay. And it just so bewildering to me, if I can use that word, that our health, like I say, is all we have. And I'm just really trying to see, where is that disconnect for people not to physically take care of themselves? Now, I know that there's a lot of trauma that a lot of us dealt with at a very young age that mentally we cannot kick. Our society has pulled the wool over our eyes, and similar to some of the things you were saying a little earlier, Coach, that they're just making it the norm. It's okay to be this way, or it's okay to be that way. Now, I understand that when we're dealing with this system that we're in, and further as pushing things to make you better, that goes against the system. So the system is definitely not going to push anything for you to be better, because the system makes money off of your demise. As long as I can keep you on drugs, then you're looking at over $50 billion a year in the medical field with distributing drugs and things like that. They are the biggest drug dealers in the world. So they're not until we come together as individuals to come together as a group to begin to take care of ourselves. We can't depend on the system because they are never going to put anything out that'll help elevate us to another level. And when they have things like the cancer walk, the lupus walk, certain walks that they have, when you really think about it, now you're really dealing with folks' emotions because they either have had cancer themselves or they have had a loved one who has died from cancer.
Loved one. Yeah.
So they put so much into it. Now, I'm going to give you a fact, and this right here may tick some folks out, but the truth is something that we suffer with. They can have as many runs as they want to have, but let me tell you something. It's all about raising money. It's all about.
I know that.
It's all about the medical field. It's all about the medical field getting richer because they're not solving any cancers. Fact. So we have to be very careful, and that's why mentally we have to make sure that we become conscious ourselves and stop, even within the religion realm. We got to stop waiting on someone or something to come to save us. We are so enslaved mentally till we had been taken care of. To throughout the years, the system has done things to say, we'll take care of you, to dumb you down, to make you lazy, so you can depend on us. And we got to come out of that trajectory. And that's one of the mental lacks that we're having because we're so enslaved to this system and to always looking for something or someone to come save us when we must learn to save ourselves. What you think about that, bro?
Oh, that's on point. That's on point. But see, that goes back to the institutionalized way of thinking, back to the slavery, the dependency as opposed to independency. And that's what I like. I've always liked throughout the years. I've noticed the Muslim brothers, even the Jehovah's Witnesses, they believe in putting in work and everything. And I see a lot of the conventional or traditional faiths and everything. It's just really a lot of, singing and dancing. But I just never saw the work put in, I know like one church I actually had joined years ago, and they were actually the first church that I knew of that actually were helping, beat up and battered women, people addicted to drugs and all of that. And it was a small church. And I used to wonder, years ago, I was like, this is like maybe 30 something years ago. I used to wonder why there wasn't more churches doing that type of stuff, putting the work, the things you could see, tangible things, as opposed to just put money in the pan and everything. And I was like, now that's what I thought it was supposed to be about.
There's a lot of work that needs to be done. And I want to just take a second and give 5 warning signs of mental illness. I want to give 5 warning signs of mental illness. And if you're experiencing any of these signs, and then my organization, Second Nature for Children, Inc., we are affiliated with the Mental Health America. And you can reach out to these guys for any help you need with your mental wellness. Number one, changing in personality, changes in emotion, isolation. Now, some of these things, like I say, you have to look at it two ways because, of course, we know we change in emotions, but you can tell the difference. I know I can tell the difference when someone is really tripping. You understand what I'm saying? When I say changing in emotion, I can tell the difference. And yeah, when someone is really tripping, I can really tell the difference when somebody's personality is really tripping. So
he went out.
Yeah, he's stuck. Yeah, he's stuck right there. He'll come back in. There you go, right there. Number three, isolation. We've already talked about isolation. Isolation can be a good thing to get away from some things, but it can be a bad thing if you're struggling with depression and trying to get by yourself. So, and here we go right here. Like number four, the sudden absence of self-care. Now let's stay right there, because I was just asking about what you think the problem is with people dealing with being overweight or obese and not doing anything about it. Well, one of the 5 warning signs of mental illness is that when we begin to lack our self-care. I want us to hear that, our people that are overweight or obese, I want you to hear that. I want you to hear that. A sense of hopelessness and feeling overwhelmed. You know, you're feeling like this journey of yours is really getting heavier. It's not even worth it. And if you need to get help, then you need to seek help. And I don't know why we struggle so much with the truth. And of course, mental illness is real, and we must begin to address it. And we're going to be talking about it for the rest of this week and sharing some things about mental illness, and hope that everyone can get on track with their mental fitness and get it together. Would you guys like to share anything else on why we struggle with the truth? Our mental illness is real. We got 9 minutes left. We're getting ready to wrap it up.
Let me jump in here right quick. Starting off with the mental illness. A lot of it, a big percentage of it is we don't want to seem like we got some issues. You know, mental illness, you know, it just goes back to acknowledging that we have an issue, a problem. Okay, so, and we try to normalize it. And it lines up with the money and normalizing things like being overweight, as opposed to they pushing pills. You hear commercials every day, and I struggle when I just hear the side effects. Could cause liver damage, may even possibly cause death. I'm like, hell, well, you worse. You better try another option. Hell, if it can kill me, why the hell do I need to take that if that's one of the side effects? I'm not trying to die.
Absolutely.
So how's that helping? But you see it on TV every day.
Yeah,
could cause liver damage.
That's a great point. That's a great point, Brother D. And I think one of the things that we struggle with as a people is we're in denial. I think a lot of times we're just truly in denial about things. And I don't know if we are ashamed to get help, but I know a lot of times, a lot of us, we don't even see that we have issues. And as both of you alluded to a little earlier, further, as a lot of things that we have struggled with for so long, till it just has become normal. Yeah, we just get made it. Yeah, mentally we have just made it. It's just normal. It's just the way it is. It's like the abused wife, you know, getting beat. You know, it just now when he do it, she beat him up. You know, it turned now that the man say he getting abused too at the house. So he getting beat up. So it just becomes normal. And we got to make sure that we use what they call common sense. Another thing we struggle with as a people, and I deal with this, people don't want to listen. They don't want to listen.
That's a real big issue there.
Yeah, we got a problem. And then because there's an art to listening, you can be trying to tell somebody something that's real, that's true,
Mhm.
and that's a fact. I've had people literally to fight back with me
Mhm.
and have told me to my face when I've given a fact that's something that I can prove. And they have
Mhm.
literally told me, well, that's just your opinion. I'm telling you, it's not my opinion because it's a fact. It's something that
Right.
I can prove to you.
Mhm.
And common sense is something that a lot of us lack. I know we struggle with that truth. A lot of us don't want to hear that. We get emotionally wound up. You tell me that if you settle down, because one thing I've learned that when your emotions and feelings begin to go up, your intellect begins to drop.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it begins to drop. So, and it's a lack, if you defined it, it's a lack of common sense. When someone has proven something to you and has given you the evidence, and you're so stubborn till you still try to fight against it, it's a lack of common sense. So we got to do better. We got to be able to listen, and we got to really think about, do I really have any of those disorders that he named tonight? And we need to make sure that we listen the rest of this week, because we're going to be talking about some signs of bipolar, some signs of depression, some signs of clinic depression. And we're going to be sharing that this week to try to open the eyes of our people. And I hope they don't tune off saying that I don't even need to hear that. I'm okay. Because if they do, that's a problem. So we're going to get ready to wrap things up. We got about 4 minutes left. Burnett, would you like to share anything before we get out of here?
We're talking about the truth, man. I remember a few years ago, a young lady asked me a question, and I gave her the truth, and she told me she wished I lied to her. And that really made me think now and forever about, damn, people actually want you to lie to them.
Yeah.
That's something.
Yeah.
Sounds better.
They're not realizing that they're revealing a whole lot about themselves, because you telling me a whole lot about yourself if you want me to lie to you.
Absolutely.
Wow. You know what I mean?
And
so
that's a great point, Bernard, because I'm going to tell you something. A lot of people would rather hear that lie
and that's something
than deal with that truth. That's a fact. They rather hear that lie. A lot of times when I'm looking at Facebook and I'm just strolling through, trying to see what's going on with the family, and I see people on here that bless their hearts, but they look an absolute mess. They look an absolute mess. But you'll see when somebody put a comment on how good they look. Girl, you really looking good with this. Girl, you know that's a lie. You understand what I'm saying?
It's definitely a lie.
But they'll take that lie before they deal with that truth. All right, bro D, we got a minute. We got 2 minutes or so. Share a little something to close us out.
Well, one of the things you mentioned, common sense, brother. And when I worked for the county years ago, we go over the paperwork, and I had a little short supervisor out of Buffalo, New York. And I would ask her, I said, didn't they read the paperwork? Because they would get mad when we didn't approve stuff. We did inspections. And I said, this is common sense. She said, yeah. She said, it may be common sense to you, but she said, common sense is no longer common anymore.
That's right.
And I said, wow, that stuck with me.
That's right.
And that's probably been like over 20 years ago.
That's right. That's right.
And it's even got worse now.
Absolutely.
Said, wow, there's something.
Yeah. And we're gonna leave it right there, because you said a mouthful then that common sense is not so common anymore. And so, hey, I'd like to thank you guys, man, for coming in. I hope that we can come back together tomorrow night and finish talking about the issues that we're having in the Black community with mental illness and why we struggle so much with the truth. And I just want to make sure that anyone is welcome. If you'd like to come on and join the panel, snfchildren@gmail.com will get you right in. Make sure you go subscribe, hit that thumbs up, and make sure you share this information with someone, because we really, really, really struggle with the truth in the Black community. But somebody got to begin to tell it. Somebody got to tell it. And I see I got two guys with me, and we've started, and we're going to make sure that we share this information, and we're going to tell the truth, whether it hurts you or not. But eventually, if you listen and take it in, it'll help you. So we're going to leave it right there, guys. Thank you so much for your time. I'll hit you up in just a sec, and we'll do it again if you can make it tomorrow night. Peace out. I holler.
All right.
All right, brother. Peace out.